swag, yeah, that's the brand, and we get to the bag. These projects.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna just literally, I just want to break down simple support and resistance, simple support and resistance for the day. And literally, I'm gonna show you how the market trades in a box, right? They trade in like boxes, and sometimes, even though it may be a box like this, it could be a turn, a box turned on its, corner, if you will. So what I want to do is I want to show you that to keep it super simple, and then give you a little homework, right? Just a little homework to say, hey, okay, now you go out and find the same things, right? Because if you can find these boxes, you can find out where the market is trading, like the range it's trading in, right? So that's the goal. I want you to be able to find out where the market's trading. All right. So let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. What's up, Natasha? Yeah, my STB folks still coming in. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's get it. There's Jonathan in red. What's good? What's good? All right. Okay, so this is the S&P 500. Okay, and what I want to do, because if y'all go on YouTube or if you just like look at like any of the counter examples of what traders like myself teach, you'll hear people say things like trend lines don't work, EMAs don't work, and we'll go over what that is. But essentially, support and resistance is two things, right? Support, for number one, is something that supports the stock price. So what we're looking at right here, I know a lot of y'all are like, what is this screen? This screen is just called a stock chart, right? The way you get to it is tradingview.com, right? This is what we use. Tradingview.com, super simple. You click it in. When you get in to tradingview.com, it's gonna look a little weird. You gotta play around with some of your settings, because it'll be a white screen instead of a black screen, and then it'll be you'll have to find what's called a ticker. So over here, if you click like the little magnifying glass, you go in and type in whatever you're looking for. So the S&P 500, you can put in the SPX, which is where we are now. You put in your SPX, you click here, boom, right? You get a stock chart or representation of what's going on the S&P 500. And so literally it's going to give you price movement on this chart. Okay, now on that chart, you're going to be able to monitor price movement on multiple time frames. Okay, this is just me just giving, I know I'm going real basic, but I just want to make sure like I might even have children here listening. Like some of y'all say, hey, I'm gonna have my kids come watch this. So kiddos, I want to start at the super basics. Now this is also going on YouTube, so you can review this, because you're gonna need to watch this. I tell my STB folks the same thing. You need to watch this 3 to 5 times, all right, in order for it to help it make sense. Eric said, yeah, I got my 3-year-old with me. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why I plan on watching my mouth. Uncle Tay not gonna cuss. We're gonna keep it nice and clean, right? And we're gonna go from the basics to the top when it comes to support and resistance, okay? As much as possible. All right, so I got about another 20 minutes. I think I can wrap this up before STB's VIP class starts, okay? So that's right, you can never hear this information enough, facts. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the easiest chart, y'all. Easiest chart. Anybody who's just now getting started as a trader, the easiest chart is going to be the monthly chart. Yes, I know it's going to take time. Hey, those moves take so long to play out. I know. However, it's the easiest chart because there's no noise. It cuts out all of the noise. Why? Because this monthly chart literally is giving you the overall, I call it a lot of my SCB folks know what I'm doing. I call it the rocket ship, right? This is your rocket ship. All this means, all right, before I tell you what these candles, that'll probably be next week's class. We'll talk about the candles and what they mean. But what I'm trying to show you is that this price action, if we do this, right, and we draw a line, we see that this line is steadily going up and up and up and up. And so all we're trying to see on the monthly chart is is the is the price going up? Is this continuing to go up, or is it going down? And so that's what we try to see when it comes to support and resistance. So what I just drew is a support line. That is a support line, right? Now, a lot of my ladies, especially my women, y'all are gonna go crazy about this. Trust me, because you're not gonna understand, or it's not that you don't understand. You're not gonna wanna draw a line and just say, okay, that's it. You're gonna wanna find the most perfect line that you can find. Trust me, I know. I've worked with thousands of people, all right, and majority of them have been women, and I know how they think. And so what I normally see is that my women, when they draw these lines, they're like, is that right? I mean, it looked like support, but is that the perfect support? And what I need y'all to understand is that there is no perfect support. The support that you see, there are going to be thousands of other people who see it. But then there may be another support. So for example, I could come here and say, okay, I want to connect these dots to the bottom of this. Boom. And I'm going to make this line a different color so you can see that it's different. All right. And so now what we're seeing is, look at this. This was supported. So this line is basically support holding up the price. Anytime price come down and touch that, it holds up the price. And so that's a great area to buy, is what I'm trying to say, right? It's a great area to buy. That is what we call support. When it hits the line, that's support, right? So as you see, this red line gave us some great support. Support here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at this, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Excuse me, I'm counting the white line now. The white line, excuse me, it was here. So let's go back. I'm counting the white line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the red line, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the red line. The white line has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, some people are going to say, now, Tay, how many candles do I need for it to be considered support, right? How many candles need to touch that line before it's actually support? All you need is 3 or more candles. That's it, 3 or more candles. So literally, if you have 3 candles touching, that is a support area. Simple as that, all right? Now, I gave you the most difficult support first, because if you can understand moving, we call this moving support, or what some of us may even call a speed line. If you can understand moving support, which is usually going to be diagonal, then if you understand that, then horizontal support will be a breeze. What does that mean? What is horizontal support, Tay? Horizontal support would look like something like this. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I like that. So I'm going to grab a horizontal line. Now, for those of y'all starting out, horizontal line is going to be right here. So you'll have kind of like this suite of tools. You'll click the first one and go over. So you click the arrow. There's an arrow there. Go over, go down the horizontal line. And what you're going to try to do is just find is the area where most candles hold, which is right there. I like that one. And so what we then see is that you have what's called a candle wick. It's a wick here. There's a red candle there. There's a green candle there. There's a candle that got underneath it. And then when it got underneath it, it hit its head on this line. And then you got back above it and you saw that they held the support right there, okay? Now, the hardest part about finding support is that when candles like these two kind of play around with it, you know, sometimes candle will go under it, it'll hit its head on it. We call that resistance. We're gonna get to resistance in a minute. It'll hit its head on it, and then it'll get back above it and then hold support, and then it'll take off, right? And that's what you saw happen here. Hit his head, excuse me, got underneath it first, hit his head right here, got back above it, held it, held it, held it, held it, and then took off. These are great areas to buy, all right? Great areas to buy. And to keep things super, super simple, what one can do, because I played this game before, what one can do is you can look back, you can find maybe the last 3 or 4 significant support areas on a very strong stock, and then you could just buy those supports. Okay, you just buy those supports. I'm gonna show you an example of that in a minute. Before we do that, because that's going to allow us, that's going to call for us to need to go down to a lower time frame. Right now, we're on the easiest time frame. Okay. Family said, this is good. Thanks, Tay. Good, 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 good. Is it making sense? Can I get some fire emojis if it's making sense? It's understanding. It's like, dang, like I'm really enjoying this. I get it now. Can I get some fire emojis? Let me know I'm doing right. Okay, good, 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 good. All right. I appreciate the love. Okay. So that lets me know we're in a good space, okay? Good. Brother Jesse, what's going on? All right, so now that we know that this is just support, we know that support is going to hold the stock up, okay? That's it. We know that. Now, what holds the stock down? Is it anything? Yes, it's called resistance, okay? So when you hear support and resistance, these are the 2 things. You got one that's gonna hold it up, you got one that's gonna hold it down, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what a resistance line looks like, okay? I'm gonna show, this is like a little party trick. All right, so what resistance looks like is this. You're gonna get multiple candles that every time you get up there, it just hits its head, and then it falls back down. So resistance falls, resistance falls, resistance falls. And look, it literally didn't hit it again until here. So that was literally from 2004 to 2007. And look, at 2007, what happened? Hit his head, fell a little bit, and then it kind of played with this little resistance area. It kept like, resistance, resistance, resistance. And then what happened? Boom, it fell. And so what we see is this is an area, right? This is an area to let you know, get your ass out of there, right? Like, excuse me, I'm not supposed to be cussing. Sorry, kids, but this is just it. You got to get out of there, right? And so this is what we see. And even if you don't get out of there, maybe this is an area, and we'll talk about this much later, right? This is VIP stuff. This is what we call hedging. So if I had calls, or if I had, we don't even want to talk about calls. If I just bought this, right? If I just bought the S&P 500, and I said, I'm going to buy it in 2004, and I'm going to take it up here. I could have then seen, hey, this is resistance. I'm going to sell majority of my profits. I'm going to take profit because you were profitable. If you bought here or here or here or here, you were profitable. So if you wanted to take profits there and then start maybe hedging is what we call it, to where you can make money when it falls, this was the area you wanted to do it, okay? It's a great area. Now, the reason I call this a party trick, I'm gonna make this line yellow, okay? This is a good teaching moment. The reason why I call this a party trick is because this is gonna be support and resistance in the future. I just drew this line back here. I don't know if it's gonna be support and resistance, but if the price gets close to this line in the future, it's gonna hold it. It is gonna hold it as resistance. And now I'm gonna teach you the next thing. And it's gonna hold it as support. What does that mean? That means if we actually get above this line, what'll happen a lot of times is the market will come back to the line and like, do you really want to get above resistance? Why does it do that? Because if it gets above resistance, it now becomes support. So if it gets above it, it'll come back, tap it just to check on it. Hey, you want to be support now? And then if it does, it'll bounce. It'll bounce, right? And so what we can see is that these type of party tricks happen a lot, all right? And I call it a party trick because if I move forward and you see what's going on with this line, you're going to probably look and go, oh my God. So let's track this yellow line and see if it now wants to hold support or resistance. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. So here, 10 years later, 10, 11 years later, look at that. Support, got underneath it, resistance, hit his head, got back above it, support, and took off a little bit, came back down, right? Got right back above it. Look, held support, even though it's playing with that line, it's support, right? Support. And look, every time you hit this line, what does it do? Support, boom, takes off. And it never came back to that line. Ever. Never came back to that line, all right? And so that's what we see is that if you can just find, literally, if you can just find support and resistance, you are in a great space. You're in a great space, right? And I'm just showing you, once again, moving support and resistance, but there's also other support and resistances that you can find, right? We'll get there. We'll talk about it. All right. Now, here's the beauty. This is what we call backtesting. Backtesting just basically says, hey, go back and look at history, see if you can find some support and resistance lines. And if you can, see if those lines are being held today. That's it. And so what we can do is we could just come here and see that something's going on right in here, right? Something's going on right in there, right? Once again, you don't have to be perfect. This thing can be moved any kind of way. You can go and connect all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Or I could literally just connect the wicks. Like, it doesn't matter to me. But what I will say, something personally that I hold true, is the more candles that touch it, the stronger it is, right? Yes, you. This is the adult version of connect the dots, because look at this. I'm going backwards, and look, support, got underneath, resistance. And this is back in 1990. The stock then runs up, comes back to the same area, and then holds resistance. In 2000s, that's 10 years later. Now let's see if 20 years later, if we can get some love. I don't know if this is gonna touch or not. Okay, it does, right? Look at that, resistance, got above it, held support, took off. Came back down in a crash. Look, boom, got underneath it, hit his head on it. Resistance. Got back above right here, held support, took off. Came back just in case. Remember, I told you when it gets above it, it'll come back and say, you want to hold that as support? Hold, look, good hold right here as support, and then boom, all-time highs right now, right? And so keep in mind, this line right here was drawn back in 1990. It was then held in 2000 and is now being held in 2024. Good God. Good God. That's what we say here. Good God. When something works, good God, it works, right? So this is what we call support and resistance. That's it, support and resistance. And so now you can, once again, we can come in and look at present day support and resistance. Here's some resistance. And look, they were holding it as resistance, and it looked like it's trying to get above. Now, this is something I got to say. This is the monthly chart, meaning January, as the month stands, it's not over. So although this candle looked like it's getting ready to close above this, we have to be careful and say, whoa. I need to see you close. So I'm not going long or buying this until I see you close above this resistance, because right now that is still resistance until the month is over. Okay. Now what we can do, I want to clear all of this out, and I'm going to show you what it looks like on a smaller time frame as a we call it a backdrop, right? To end this class, I always like to give a backdrop to end the class, right? Now, this can be traded on the weekly chart. It could also be traded on the daily chart. For my beginners, I always suggest you start on a weekly. The monthly is cool, but if you want to actually trade and maybe swing trade, the weekly is where you need to start. That is the best place to start for beginners. So we're going to go down to the weekly, right? And I'm just going to go through history. I'm just going to go through history, right? Because people are not going to believe this craziness. All right? They're not going to believe it. Now, what I like to do is just simply go through history and see that support and resistance held, right? And so what we see here is we got two candles right here. So I'm going to pick this one. And look, two candles, 1, 2 additional candles, 3, 4, 5 that are holding as resistance and then support. And then look, it keeps getting held, right? Then I like here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Comes over here, 7, 8. I like it. I like it a lot, right? And so now I'm starting to just draw certain support and resistance lines, right? If you even want to go further back, here's some back here. Look at that. So when the market crashed in 2020, a lot of people thought I was crazy when I made money. Like, ain't no way, Tay. I'm like, no, you could have bought here. Yeah, that's 2,800. And it fell to 26. You could have bought there. And then you could have bought at 2,400. And literally, if you just had time, right? I know some of y'all want to get into options. I'm just talking about buying shares. But if you had shares and you just bought 28, 26, and 24, that means you bought the equal amount. That means you had a 2,600 cost basis is what we call it, right? Now, up here, it looks like you got a little resistance. 1, 2, 3, got above, support, right? And so at 2,600, there's your cost basis. And literally from, you started entering in February 2020, right? Now, literally from there, it took you 5 months to hit 3,300. That's literally a $500 move, right? Actually, no. That's a $7 move, $700 move, right? And so for every stock that you had, when you bought here, here, and here, your cost basis or your average was right here. And it took you here. And look, it held it again. I told you this was resistance. And look, it just held it. And so if we keep going and we just find clear levels of support, I like here, support, 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 support. I like here, beautiful support, 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 support. I also like a resistance right in here. And what I'm showing you now is that in the future, look how it holds, support, support, resistance, resistance. That's a good short. You can short that. Where would you short it to? I'd short it to here. Look at that, support. You can buy that. Where would you buy it to? I like it back up to resistance. You can then short it again. Why would you short it again? All right. Why would you short it again? Well, I got two resistances now. So I got this resistance and this resistance. I take it down. Look at this. Boom. Support, I buy here, I take it back to resistance. And look, now it's following my downtrend resistance, all right? I short it here and here. Where am I going to take it? Back to support. I buy support. Where am I going to take it? Back to resistance. I buy support. I take it back to resistance. I buy support. Take it back to resistance. I buy support once it gets above it and take it back to where? Its nearest resistance. It then falls from there. It goes to support. And where do we go back to? Resistance. You get above this resistance and then become support. I buy support. And then where do I take it to? Resistance. And that, my people, is the support and resistance in a nutshell. All right. I hope this helps. This is art for me. This is poetry. That's right. It's poetry and art. Right. This is what I love to do. This is why I teach, because I'm really good at teaching, if you ask me. All right. And hopefully you all understand what this is now. Right. Support and resistance is your friend. And as you've seen, it follows. It follows. All right. This is why I do what I do. Once again, this is why I teach as much as I teach. And for my people who have paid me hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach, They understand why I still come down and teach for free, because they know I love it and they know I love to help people learn and understand this stuff, right? As simple as this stuff is. I just gave you pretty much one of the keys to success. You just use this, you're going to be a lot further than the average person, all right? So I appreciate y'all showing up. I appreciate y'all trusting in me. I appreciate y'all's love. I will put this on YouTube. I'll send you out the YouTube link so you can go rewatch it, because you're going to want to watch it for, repetition builds skill. So you're going to want to rewatch this, all right? Y'all be looking out for the next text message that I send out. I want to do what I can to help. I got you. I just need y'all to show up, all right? That being said, I'm going to go and teach my STB folks, all right? I'll see y'all next time.
Secure the bag, yeah, that's the brand, and we get to the bag. These private flights.